You're listening to the Snipers Club. I'm your host, the Sniper, and welcome to the Snipecast. This is a new podcast. It's episode 1, and we'll be covering Call of Duty with our resident specialist, Nick, who's been absolutely smashing it this season. So for anyone new that hasn't listened to one of our podcasts before on Call of Duty, on the NRL, or another sport, then do Google Linktree the Snipers Club. You'll find all our podcasts on there, all our socials on there, and you'll be able to join should you so wish. The good news with this sport is that it's been totally free up until now, and we've been absolutely smashing it. So it's absolutely great to have Nick on board for the first podcast of the year. Hopefully there'll be many, many more to come. Nick, welcome to the Snipecast. Good to have you, mate.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I think it's been a long time coming. But yeah, no, it's good to get on here and have a chat with yourself.
Perfect. Is that a slightly northern accent I hear?
Yeah. So all the viewers are going to have to tolerate my northern accent for however long the podcast is. So yeah, good luck to them.
Is that Wigan or Bolton or somewhere near there? Stockport?
Yeah, you've got it spot on first time. Yeah, Wigan. So yeah.
The rugby league heartland.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Are you a Wigan fan as well?
I am a Wigan fan. Yeah. I've been supporting Wigan for quite a while. I don't think you really got much of a choice when you're from Wigan. So
no.
But yeah, it's been a good time to support them, I guess.
Absolutely brilliant. Bevan French has been on absolute fire, hasn't he?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, they've got quite a lot of few young players coming through that are all sort of getting into the first team now. Yeah, so it's a good time to be on board.
Junior Nasamba included.
Yeah, well, we'll see how long he actually he stays for, or whether he gets brought over to the NRL like the rest of the Wigan talent.
Probably a matter of time, but I'm sure he'll have ample opportunity to carve it up in the Super League as well. So have you listened to the Wigan Way podcast that we've done as well?
I haven't actually listened to that one yet. I don't know how I've actually missed that one, but yeah, no, I'll definitely give that a listen.
They're really good. So yeah, we've got a few episodes on Spotify and on our socials, guys. But we digress because this is actually a Call of Duty podcast, not a rugby league podcast. So let's move on. So we'll be doing a couple of different things today, guys. We'll be previewing the upcoming championships, which Nick will explain. It's basically the final major of the year. It's the biggie. It's the grand finale. He's also got a really exciting pick for us that I think starts this afternoon. And there's a couple of other things to discuss as well on that. So we'll do our best to keep you as entertained as possible. And we extend a massive thank you to our current members who've been really, really supportive. They've made Nick feel completely at home up until now. You guys are all absolute legends and superstars. So a big thank you from me and an even bigger thank you from Nick. So Nick, where would you like to kick off? Do you want to kick off with what's going to happen? What is the grand finale? What's the format? How does it work, and so on?
Yeah, so I guess it's the main thing is it's the big one. It's what all the teams have been playing towards throughout the year. I think it's all well and good winning a major, but I think every team wants to win champs, wants to get that ring. Obviously the prize money's bigger. It's the one that everyone wants to win, it seems. It's this year it's the top 8 teams that all compete. There's 4 teams cut which haven't made champs. So there's a lot less variance in champs. There's a lot less upsets. There's definitely some value to be had.
Okay, because if I think back to CS for me, during lockdown you had periods of dominance from Astralis. It was virtually impossible to beat them. The other team that was doing really well and that were winning majors was Vitality at that time. Then afterwards it became Na'Vi, for example. A couple of years later, they dominated. You had Simple playing out of his skin, Electronic, and so on. And eventually, now again, there's been a roster change there. Have there been similar dynasties or periods of domination for 2 or 3 years in Call of Duty as there has been in CS?
Yeah, so I think it's hard not to look at the FaZe roster and think, yeah, this could be a potential dynasty. I think they've got Celium, Abizi, Simp. Now they've brought in Draza as well, who is, everyone has sort of said he's the final piece to their roster. I think they've changed the fourth player over the past few years a few times. They've had Arctis, Slasher, but now they seem like they've got the sort of final piece of the puzzle. So yeah, I think they're the rightly favourites going into champs. But obviously we all saw, or a few of the members saw what happened on Sunday when Subliners turned them over, which got one of our picks home, which was nice.
What role does he play in the team?
So he's the Draza's the flex. So he's the sort of, they have the main AR and the two subs. So he often runs a sub, he often runs an AR. So everyone sort of does see him as the final piece of the puzzle.
Okay. And who won this last year and the year before? So
it was Subliners who they famously seem to come good at the end of the year. They won the final major on Sunday, and they won champs last year. So they're looking to go back to back, which is quite surprising, really, seeing as they've had a pretty slow start to the year. But yeah, I think there was a bit of a surprise to most when they dropped Priester after winning champs last year.
Okay.
So they won champs, made a roster move, started off slow to start the season, but now it seems like they're finally coming good. I think they're sitting at around 7-2 in the market to win champs this year, maybe even shorter.
Okay, so 7-2 is $4.50 for any of our Aussie listeners, guys. We'll probably try and quote in both as we do on our server. So why don't we run through the formats of how it works, how long does it last, what the prize is, and then have a look at the market for the champs.
Yeah, so it's a very similar format to the other majors that have already happened this year, just with the reduced teams. So there's 8 teams as opposed to the usual 12. So it means there's a lot higher quality play. We don't have Boston Breach, who have quite frankly been horrendous this year. So yeah, it's a lot higher quality COD to watch. Yeah, it's definitely better to watch, and obviously the prize money is a lot higher.
Okay, so the main contenders, shall we run through them? Is there a smoky amongst the 8? What do you reckon?
So I think I've got one lined up, and I think it's not really a surprising one, to be honest. I really like the look of Optic, even with the bad search and destroy that they've been playing at the minute. I think it's so hard to look away from them at 9-2. We have FaZe who are the obvious choice at 6-4, but they're struggling to get over the line on a Sunday. They're struggling during Championship Sunday. I just couldn't take them at 6-4.
Why do you think that is? Is some of their communication breaking down in game, do you think?
Well, a lot's been said about Celium's comms. They're manic, and it's quite hard to actually tell what this, if from a sort of outside perspective, it's so hard to even tell what he's saying. Obviously, they must understand him. They've played together for 3 or 4 years, but it's so hard to pick up what he's actually saying. And a lot's been said whether FaZe could be called a dynasty when they have such a bad record on Championship Sunday. So yeah, I'm struggling to not have a play on Optic at the odds 9-2. There's no way they should be 9-2. Subliners are 7-2. They're second favourites at the minute. And I think that's down to just the recency bias. We've seen them win on Sunday, but before Sunday, there's no way they'd be lower than 9. I'd say 9-1.
Okay, so that's $5.50, guys, for anyone in Australia. So he's the in-game leader, is he? And do you think there's a potential roster change on the horizon for him?
I think with FaZe, there's going to be more and more said if they don't win champs. They've dominated pretty much throughout the full year, especially online. I think there would have to be. I don't know if the sort of 3 of Celium, Simp, and Abizi had ever split up. They've played together for years, but it's going to get to a point now where they're going to have to look and see, we've got these sort of superstars and they're not winning champs. They're not getting over the line on a Sunday.
Okay. Is there a good academy system in there as well?
Yeah, so there's the challengers sort of side of of Call of Duty. There's been quite a few players that have been picked up from challenges and done well, but I think if I was FaZe, I'd be looking at other teams and thinking, who could I pick up to make this team better, make it more clutch, help them get over the line. And I don't think I'd be looking towards challenges. I think I'd be looking at the other top teams, seeing where I can get the sort of final piece. Or I think there's no way I see them picking anyone up from challenges. I think it's going to be someone from a different team.
Because they're a very famous, well-funded org, aren't they? I mean, it's not going to be difficult to attract talent, is it?
No, definitely. But yeah, I think the same thing can be said about Optic. They've built this superstar roster, and they won, I think it was Major 3, and in this past major they've just plateaued. They can't win a search and destroy, but there's no way that the roster that they have can't turn up on champs and go all the way.
Okay, if you were the coach of FaZe, who would be your number one target to try and recruit?
I think you have to look at Scrap on Toronto Ultra. There's going to be quite a few teams looking at that in that sort of direction, especially Optic. I'll be very surprised if Optic don't also try and go in for Scrap in the off season. I think there's going to be a lot of people trying to secure his signature.
Okay, cool. Let's see if that pans out. So the other thing you've got for us is you've got a pick for a tournament that's starting today or something, Nick?
Yeah, so I'm not sure if many of our listeners actually know, but I also follow Warzone, which is the sort of battle royale version of Call of Duty. I think it sort of took off through COVID, and the prize money's just got bigger and bigger over the years. So the Esports World Cup starts today. I think it's around 4 o'clock UK time. So that starts over in Saudi. So there's obviously going to be big prize monies there on offer. So the pick that I've got is for Team Fnatic. I think they're currently sitting at around 8-1. So I'd definitely take that for a unit.
Okay, so 8-1 guys, $9 for our Aussie friends. 1 unit play there from Nick, bit of a freebie, so fingers crossed for that. How long does that tournament last, Nick?
So I'm pretty sure that lasts till Saturday. There's obvious favourites in that. I mean, Shifty, Biffle, and Hisoka, which I think is Team Falcons in this event. They're sitting at around 5-6, so they're currently odds on, which they are the rightly favourites. They've dominated this year in the Warzone scene. They've sort of built this super roster. So they're the rightly favourites, but I just couldn't take them at 5-6. I think we've got the value going for Team Fnatic, which is Almond, Noobs, and Skullface. So I definitely think that's value at that odds, at those price.
Okay, that's great, because if they make the final, then you'll have the ability to hedge out by backing the opposing team, presumably.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think there's no way they should be at that price. I'd have them clear second favourites at probably half the price.
Okay, are they on different sides of the draw?
So they've not done the actual draw yet. The format's quite strange in this tournament with it. It's sort of the first one of its kind. So basically the format, they split up into... So the team, there's a 3-team roster, and they split up into 3 different sides of the group. So they all compete solo to get a seeding. So then the draw is based off that seeding. So it's a bit of a complicated roster, but I can always put the link to the format in our server for anyone that wants to take a look at that.
Okay, cool. That's perfect. So guys, if you do want to check it out, everything's free at the moment. Google the Snipers Club Linktree, hit the Discord button, and you'll have access to our free Discord. And then you can listen to our podcasts and find all our socials on there as well. So it's Linktree, the Snipers Club. Now, guys, moving on to the last thing we're going to cover today for you. This is how am I going to put this best? Well, I was in Tampa, Florida a few years ago, and I met a guy that was a preacher, and he was an absolutely larger-than-life character with a penchant for alcohol, women, and gambling. And he had a massive congregation, so he was very, very successful. And he used to love going to the dog track. So he'd go to the dog track, and there'd be something like 16 races on. And in between every race, he'd have 2 shots of tequila. So by the time it got to the end of the card, he'd have had 32 shots of tequila. He'd be absolutely steaming. And he'd normally want to try and carry on drinking because there'd be an interlude between the matinee, the day meeting, and the evening meeting. And he'd normally say, let's go to the strip club. Let's go to the strip club. Come on, man, let's not go to the strip. No, we're going to the strip club. All right, okay, all right, let's go to the strip club. And one day, he pulled up his shirt or something, and there was a gun there. I said, "Preacher, why do you carry a gun?" He goes, "Well, I got to protect myself, sniper." I was like, "Excuse me? Protect yourself against who?" He goes, "This is America, not England." I'm like, "All right, okay, fine, no problem." So this would go on for a couple of weeks or however long I was there on holiday for. And one day I said to him, "Preacher, how can you afford this lifestyle?" He goes, "I've got a congregation of thousands and thousands of people, and we do a collection, and they've all put in notes in the tray." I said, "Don't put any coins in. We don't want them coins." And then it would get to the end of the evening. I'd be like, "Well, how would you deal with it morally?" He said, "Well, I'd go into the office. I'd take up the tray with all the notes. I'd throw it up in the air and say, 'Lord, you take what you want, and whatever comes back down is mine.'" So that's how he justified it himself to the Lord. So we have a similar situation at the moment, guys, where Nick's done some absolutely amazing work for us. He's got a great track record. The stats have been great. Do you want to run them through the stats so far, Nick, and how you've performed?
Yeah, so from the start of the year, I think we've placed 143 bets. We're currently operating at a win rate of 53% with a ROI of 22%. The stat that I quite like is that the average stake, we've got quite a low average stake. It's 1.84U, so there's not too much risk in each bet, and we just up the U's when we know we've got the value. We've secured 59 units so far, which is currently at £2,976 profit to a
Nice.
£50 unit.
Perfect. That's so good. So a huge well done on that. We've only had one teeny losing weekend. Was it a small minus of something negligible?
I think we had one weekend that was, I think it was minus 0.75 units, and we also had a weekend that I think was minus 4 units. So
okay.
Yeah, it's in over the sort of 6 months we've been doing it's a pretty solid record.
Awesome. Okay, cool. So the thing to do, guys, and this is just for anyone that would like to support Nick or say thank you, we'll invite you, and this is totally up to you guys, to go on our Discord, go onto the tip jar and leave Nick a tip. And under tip jar, there's a reference. So if you just type in Nick in there, we'll make sure that any donations go directly to him. So that's just a small thank you from all of us for all the great work that he's done so far. So we've got quite a few big plans for next season. We're not going to go through them now because it involves a lot of work, a lot of development, and a lot of testing. But we'll keep you posted, hopefully over the next few shows that we do. Nick, would you mind recapping your couple of picks from today for the listeners at the moment?
Yeah, so the main pick that we've got that's starting this afternoon is Team Fnatic to win the Esports World Cup. But the key thing to mention is that it's purely Warzone. So when you're looking for these markets, make sure you're looking for the Warzone market. I think, as I said, they're around 8-1 at the minute. I can see them going off short. I'd say around 5-1. I'm not sure how much money it would take to move these sort of lines, but I'd get on as soon as. Okay.
Was there another, or is that going to be for the actual champs?
Yeah. So I think we're gonna save the champs picks till for in the server. So keep your eyes peeled for those. But we've got a lot of picks in mind for the big finale.
Cool. How many picks are you expecting for that?
It's going to be the highest volume net. Yeah, definitely. There's going to be all sorts of niche markets that they're bringing out. They've also already put the moneyline markets up. So I'm just waiting for the player props where we do most of our work. We make good profit off the player props, and we seem like we're moving all the lines at the minute. So
those are the kills, the overs, unders, that sort of stuff.
Yeah, we've been smashing the overs and unders. That's where we've been making most of our profit. It seems like the guys in the server are doing Bet365's job for them. They're pointing out the lines that are wrong, and yeah, we've been smashing it with the player props.
I saw those because there was one weekend, I think there was a few weekends where this actually happened, but you put up maybe 7 picks and the odds plummeted by more than 2/3. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, we've been absolutely smashing it. Yeah, we've had some big weekends like that. I find it quite funny when they post all these lines and they only actually move the lines of our picks, which is always nice to see.
Yeah, there was one, guys, which I think was a $3.50 shot. It went off at $1.18. I think there was a $20 shot that went off at $3. So this is the sort of work that we're talking about. So if you're not part of it, why aren't you part of it? Check it out. Tell your mates. Get everyone on board, and let's really smash it up for this upcoming championships and over the course of next season as well. Nick, is there anything else you'd like to add, mate?
No, I think that's everything from me. I just wanted to thank everyone that's in the server for all the kind messages. I've had quite a few messages from different guys in the server all thanking me. So yeah, no, it's always nice to get those messages.
Awesome. Thanks for the nice words. Guys, you've been listening to the Snipers Club. I'm your host, The Sniper. This is episode 1 of the Snipecast. Please like, share, and help our channel grow.